Yeah, Nigeria's Edo State has increased its internally generated revenue from 285 million naira to over 2 billion naira. In an exclusive interview with the governor of the state, Adams Shomale, where he discussed how the state is attracting local and foreign investors, as well as how it's growing its internally generated revenue.
I think the first thing beyond rhetoric is that the federal government has to get the power policy right and deliver on power supply. Because if we do not have power supply, obviously, we can talk about rhetoric about diversification. It doesn't get done merely by saying so. And there is no economy that I know of that can be said to have diversified without power supply. And unfortunately, the management of the power sector has been the exclusive preserve of the federal government. Where right now they are working on privatization and selling off some of the discos, etc., but the benefit is not yet here. But we are hoping that it will work out eventually. However, but even before they started awarding, we saw that at the session of this administration that we were not able to rely on the federal government allocation because of the vagaries of the oil market. So from the one, we looked inward and deepened our own internally generated revenue. At inception, our monthly receipt on average was about 285 million naira a month, out of which they pay about 20,000 or 20% to the revenue collector. And that leaves you with a net of less than 250 million or 240 million. But we decided to rebuild our revenue, but reorganize it. And within a period of 1 year, we raised our IGR from 285 million naira a month, inclusive of costs, to at a point in excess of 2 billion naira. This is still small money, but when you look at where we're coming from to where we are, we think that we made a lot of difference. The result is that today, I mean, we pay salaries for last month, even though, as I speak, we have not gotten all our allocation from the federal government. If we had it deepen our internally generated revenue, our civil servant would have been paid. And as I speak to you, majority of the states in the federation, including the federal government, haven't paid salaries for last month because of the crisis, you know, the volume of oil theft that has affected the revenue accrued to the federation. So, but what we're looking at now is, okay, we have invested enormously in infrastructure, extending electricity to rural communities, providing water in rural communities, but even much more importantly, we have constructed a number of rural roads that have made many communities that were hitherto inaccessible to become accessible. Now, the challenge is how do we take advantage of this infrastructure? Because that is essentially the essence of governance, to create the enabling environment for people who have viable and doable businesses to do their business without having to become a municipality to themselves, building their road, provide their water, provide their electricity, which creates some disincentive. And right now, the response has been favorable. We have an Azura power plant that is already on, and all the studies have shown that it's a viable project. They are getting support from the international financial institutions as well as local institutions. We've gotten the community to recognize that they do need to be more friendly to foreign investors. And I think in a particular forum, they declare us as the most investor-friendly state. Now, because of our centrality, we believe that we can easily become the hub for power supply and distribution, particularly when we get the federal government out of it and power becomes a business in the hands of private sector people who are profit-driven and therefore pro-efficiency. And they'll be looking at the economics of location. And all of that is to our advantage. We have the gas, we are centrally located, we can distribute power to all our neighboring states, and so we can easily become the power hub. And the level of investment that are already on ground, and the new ones that are coming, confirms that this is just a matter of time. It's a matter of when, not whether. And I'm sure in the next few months, people will begin to see the dividend of that. But also as a consequence of the investment we made in open rural areas, a lot of mechanized farmers are beginning to show interest in palm, rice production, cassava, all of those key things that are in high demand, not only at home but also abroad. And I believe that with all those who are already here, the Vietnamese, we've gotten inquiries now from the Brazilians, several foreign and local people have expressed interest and are already working And we've also simplified the land acquisition process so that if once we have evidence that you are ready to work, we are ready to fast-track the process. You can get your certificate of occupancy within 2 weeks, and we waive all charges that would have otherwise asked you to pay, so that whatever capital you have, you rather deploy it to your investment rather than using it to pay compensation to communities, because under the land use act, for me, the state has enormous powers to make land available to those who really are willing to use it. And so with these and other things, I believe that, over time, those GDP should increase substantially on a sustainable basis.